We turn the corner and I tell him, I'm getting off the bike. As soon as I said that, it was as if somebody lit a stick of dynamite under him. And he said, I'm going back to the house to get the car. Stay put. And I'm like, crap, I'm fine. I just want to. He knew better. I literally didn't think I was having a heart attack. I was. I thought I was just getting cold and I hadn't dressed properly and I was pissed. Mm-hmm. So I began to walk back. While doing so, the guys that we were with had gone ahead and turned. We were 100 yards behind them, but we stopped. They were going up a hill, so they did not even look. So Grappy calls them and says, Chet's in trouble. Turn around. And so I'm walking my bike back toward his home and not thinking anything except I'm pissed off. And this is a weird feeling.
Let me just ask you a quick question because I'm just curious about this. If you can remember in the moment, the thought that maybe you were having a heart attack or anything other than you just being cold and pissed, none of that went through your mind. You were just like, it was so, was it so foreign of a thought to you because you are such, in such good health, or kind of in hindsight, like, have you thought about that thinking at all?
Yeah. Yes, I have. And for the life of me, it wasn't what in my mind a heart attack was.
Got it.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I'd heard is your arms will tingle. They'll go numb. You'll have a feeling of an elephant on your chest.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
didn't have any of those classic symptoms.
So it didn't even register.
Gotcha.
Like I didn't even think, oh, you could be having something really bad. It was just like literally didn't enter the brain. Mm-hmm. And I think it was because I didn't feel what I thought was anything that big. Mm-hmm. So one of the guys that turned around was a doc. One of our friends, Brother Mick, I call him now. I used to just call him Mick. Now he's Brother Mick. And as soon as he came, he took one look at me and said, sit down. And so I did. And so people that tell me I'm not coachable, I use this. I sat down. I just sat down right away.
I'll let you go with that. It's still very debatable how coachable you are. But I suppose if your life is threatened, you'll listen.
Well, I just want to put that on air. So I sat down. And as I sat down, Grappy pulled up in the Buick. Mm-hmm. And Mick was calling 911. And as fate would have it, he was in his brain calculating how long an ambulance would take to get there versus how long Grappy could drive us there. And he did it. He went against what his gut said, because you're never supposed to drive. You're supposed to get in the emergency vehicle because they have equipment to deal with you. Mm-hmm. And he's calculating that. And he's like, but he goes, I can have him at the hospital before the ambulance will be here. Mm-hmm. So he says, Chet, get in the front seat. You guys take the bikes. I'll get in the back seat. We're headed to the hospital. And it happened to be the hospital where he works was the nearest hospital, St. Anne's. Coincidence? I don't know.
Right.
And so he tells Grappy to floor it. And I'm sitting there conscious. And I don't even feel him, but he tells me later that he's taking my pulse from the back seat and my pulse is going away. I'm still conscious. I'm just realizing now I'm having a harder time breathing. Mm. And so I'm just kind of focused on getting a breath. And I'm doing that. And he's calculating, he tells me later, how to perform CPR from the back seat because he's figuring I'm not going to make it to the hospital. Mm. Make it to the hospital. Grappy turns in the wrong place. It's perfect. So I said, stop. I'll just walk down the stairs because he would have to pull all the way around. Mm-hmm. So I get out and I walk down the stairs and Mick is with me. And then he'd already called ahead, so they were ready for us. And we go in and he wheels me in. I walk in and he puts me in a wheelchair and wheels me in, and they're literally working on me in seconds. And they're asking me questions about, well, first of all, we're going to be working really fast, so don't get upset about that. It's just, we're going to be working very quickly. And let me start with your pain level. What is it? 1 to 10? 10 being it's really bad. And I'm like, it's a 5. Mm-hmm. And Mick is sitting next to the doctor and he says, don't believe him, it's a 10. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Mick, it's a 5. Mm-hmm. And so I'm coherent. Mm-hmm. I'm communicating. they start to put nitroglycerin under my tongue, which I kind of heard of nitroglycerin. I thought, that's interesting. I've heard of it. It's not a good sign, And they said, how do you feel now after a few minutes? I'm like, the same. So they said, here's another nitroglycerin. This went on until they gave me 5. Now I'm really having a hard time breathing. And I'm beginning to realize, like, I don't know what this is. I still don't know it's a heart attack, but I know it's not good. And because I'm really having a hard time breathing. And I just remember zoning in on just get another breath. And I kept just my mind focused on that. I'd glance at Mick, I'd glance at the docs, and then I would just focus on getting a breath. And the next time, after the 5th one, she asked me again, how do you feel? And I said, I may be feeling worse. And she looked at the attending nurse and said, give him morphine. When she said that, like, my mood immediately went to Private Ryan. I played the movie and other movies where they jab them with morphine to deaden them before they die. And I thought, now I know this is not good. And again, I don't know time very well, but it was not long after that they gave me morphine that they asked again, okay, how do you feel? And I said the same. And she said, okay, give him more morphine. And that's when I prayed. And I remember the prayer. I'll probably remember the prayer for the rest of my life. And I said, hey, I said, God, I'm ready to come home, but I don't want to leave. And that was all I got out when another doc came in and said, take him in. And so I knew they were taking me. And then I knew that it registered, like, as soon as I echoed the prayer, as soon as they said, we're ready for him, we're taking him in, I knew that they were going to go do something to my heart. Like, just clear as a bell. Okay, okay, here we go. And I felt them go into my wrist. They shaved my groin. They shaved my wrist. Now I knew they're going up with a wire. And I felt them. You can still see the difference on my arm, the color. This is where they went up. It's still a little bruised. 5 months later.
That's wild.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
And I felt it. And they went up into my heart, and I felt them go into my heart. And as soon as they popped the blood clot, which had formed with a small piece of plaque that broke off in my right, what's it called? The right coronary artery. A little piece of plaque had broken off and lodged at the base of it and formed a blood clot, stopped the blood flow to half my heart in seconds.
It's wild. Yeah. So there's not clogged arteries. It's not like the typical, so you're going to your doctor, you're getting your checkups, you're doing your thing, you're taking care of yourself. But it sounds like a fluky thing where plaque falls off and lands in a place that blocks the blood flow. I mean, is that what the doctors say?
The doctor, doctors, they're very funny, but he said, you're 1 in a million.
Yeah.
And the minute they popped the blood clot, I felt it. And I remember, I'm still conscious. I remember telling them, oh my gosh, I feel great. And then I don't remember anything.